What you lot don't seem to understand is that productivity is about doing less and getting more for that quotient of work. People don't seem to understand this, especially internet people. They seem to have these fucking habits of jamming their calendar as full as possible with tasks, using the Eisenhower matrix and the Pareto principle and the Pomodoro technique and all of these fucking stupid hacks just to make sure that they seem clever, just to make sure that they seem productive, when actually sitting down and fucking working is kind of cool and it gets you a lot of things done. And we're going to talk about things. We're going to talk about habits. We're going to talk about techniques. We're going to talk about all of this fancy shit. But here's the twist. We're going to talk about 7 things, only those things which actually help me. Only those things which actually change my productivity. Because there's so much fluff, so much bullshit, so many gadgets that you need to buy so you get the fucking... So the person who's marketing it to you gets your affiliate commission. You can also buy fucking softwares with referral codes. People are trying to profit off of you. I'm going to tell you 7 things. None of them cost a dime and you can do them right now. These are the things that actually help me. Let's get started. Tell me I'm not fucking sick at drawing, by the way. I don't even want to, like... wipe this off, but I guess I'm gonna have to. Okay. So, starting with to-do lists. Listen, you've probably heard of this concept of to-do lists, yet probably no one has told you how to do them. I researched every single... Okay, not every single millionaire, because that would be a fucking lie. Listen, I typed into ChatGPT, I did a bit of research, I researched what is the most common habits of every single millionaire, because I had this part in my self-improvement where I was having like a fucking existential crisis, trying to figure out the meaning of habits and what's useful and what's not, and why is it that people do bad habits and they get good results and other people do good habits and they get bad results. By the way, I have a video on this, I can pop it up on screen right now if I don't forget. It's called Why, or Can You Be Productive and Still Have Vices? Or can you still have vices and be productive? Something along those lines, right? You can just click the fucking link in the description or the card that pops up. Anyway, I was researching because I really wanted to know what's like the most common habit, because surely that is like the keystone habit. That's the thing that actually works. And it is. I'm not going to lie to you, it is. And this is doing to-do lists. That is why we're starting with this. This is the... Is it the most important one? I don't know. But it is definitely one of the most important habits ever that I ever encountered. To-do lists are pretty much one level below time blocking. So you want to start with time blocking. First of all, if you don't have a schedule, if you don't have a calendar like you did back in school, just do one, just make one. And even if you're in school and you get handed your schedule, you should still make one for yourself. You should still go on Google Calendar and actually do it. There's a bunch of, really there's myriads of tutorials on this, so I'm not going to go into this. You can go onto YouTube, you can research it on fucking whatever. And you can use Google Calendar, you can use iCal, you can use pretty much everything. And you can make yourself time blocks in your day. The way you make time blocks, essentially, I'll just go into it very, very shallowly, is just make them like 1 or 2 hours. Don't make them very, very small. So you don't want to make a separate time block for your morning routine, or especially like single tasks within your morning routine. You don't want to make like very, very small tasks, right? Every single day you should have less than 10 time blocks, but about 5 ideally. Because what we do once we have time blocks is we go into the second phase, which is actually doing to-do lists. I'm not going to write to-do lists actually, because to-do lists consist of tasks. So what we do, once we've got our time blocks, is we add tasks. So let's say I have a to-do list and I put the task into my schedule, and my schedule says, let's say from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I have record, that's the work block called, or first of all, well, it's not just record, this is like in brackets. The block is called deep work 1, so I usually say DW because I know what that means, right? Deep work 1. Well, now I could give myself the task, which I add into my to-do list, which would be record video X, Y, Z. I would already have like literally exactly which video I want to record. Then I would be like, edit this video. Maybe it would be the same video, maybe it would be one from yesterday if I have some content lying over that I haven't really managed yet. And if we still have time, I'm like, okay, this should take maybe 1.5 hours. Then I'm going to script another piece of content. Script... I don't know, there's something, right? A, B, C. So the way you do this is literally just have blocks and then have tasks, and schedule the tasks within the blocks. All you need to do is this. All you need to do to have clarity is this, because clarity is the second reason why we procrastinate, and it's the most common one. Lack of clarity. if you don't know what you're going to do, and if you don't know exactly what you're going to do, your brain comprehends the task as, oh no, like record, like what the fuck does record mean, man? We need to turn on this light, we need to turn on OBS, we need to update the software, we need to get our camera, we need to make sure it's charged, we need to say a script, we need to do this. It's so complicated. Why don't you just break it down? Record this video. If you haven't done that yet, your brain will comprehend that as extremely complicated as well. So for me, I just record this video. That's about as detailed as I go. But if I were to do something new, like for example, what's something new that I haven't really done? Let's say I would go play volleyball. I don't really fucking play volleyball, so I would tell myself, okay, I need to pack these kind of things. I'm bringing the ball, so make sure I get it from this place within my house. Make sure I eat carbs 2 hours earlier to be energized. Make sure I do this, make sure I do that. And I would make it super fucking detailed for myself, so my brain doesn't comprehend of it as like this ginormous thing that I can't conquer, because that is why you procrastinate, even if you don't know it. So make sure you have tasks. The way you want to make your to-do list is you want to have like keystone, essential, non-negotiable is the way I like to call them, non-negotiable tasks, which consist of 1, 2, 3 tasks. It could be only 2, but usually about 3 tasks are the non-negotiables, because every single day, you've probably had this feeling, I definitely have, is whenever I have a bad day, it's not because I didn't fucking work for 10 hours a day. That's not what productivity is. Your bad day is because you didn't do the bare fucking minimum. It might sound harsh, that's the reason. So if we just have 3 of the most important tasks at the top of our list that are non-negotiables, and we do these every day, no matter what, if it rains, if it pours, if we have a fever, if we're completely healthy, if our fucking girlfriend just broke up with us, doesn't matter, okay? We're gonna do these. We're gonna write out 3 things, record this video, X, Y, Z. We're gonna hit the gym. Maybe I'm even gonna write it's a pull day, because we need to be specific with this. Record this video, hit the gym and do this program. And maybe the last one would be shop at Aldi. Aldi should give me a promotion, by the way, because it's always them that I mention. Even though I don't only like shop at Aldi, I always say Aldi for some reason. They should really like promote my shit, whatever. So you write these tasks, and then you can have nice to haves. Yes, okay, NTH, nice to haves. You can have really as many as you want. I usually just have like 4 to like 7 maybe, so this would be like what, like 4, 5? 4, 5, 6, 7, yes, 4. So you can have as many as you want. It really doesn't matter. This would be like, call mum. Right, if you don't call mum today, which you should, by the way, but if you don't, like, it's not the end of the world. You could read Dostoevsky. There's no fucking way in hell I'm gonna write that out. I'm just gonna write D, pause. You get the fucking gist of it. You could write a few more tasks. And the thing is, if you do these, you can give yourself permission to move on to the nice to haves. But you don't have to. If you're having a shit day, just be like, okay, I did the bare minimum today, I might as well chill out, I might as well watch Netflix. And these fucking gurus will tell you, oh no, don't watch Netflix, fucking grind, do the Pomodoro technique, do the 2-minute rule. And yeah, those things can help, but the thing is, some days are just not going to be as good as other days. And that's the reality of it. I'm sorry if you haven't lived as a fucking human being for the last few years. I don't know what to tell you. This is how life works. Welcome to life. But if you have bad days, just make sure you do the non-negotiables, because that is the beauty of it. Now, this is how you should lay out your whole entire day. Maybe you have from 10 a.m. To, I don't know, 1 p.m. you have the gym, because, you know, you include travel and you don't make like stupid work blocks, and you don't add like travel time for 15 minutes. Change another 15 minutes. You make big work blocks, which are kind of like ambiguous. But to remove the ambiguity, you add tasks. So you could be like gym. This is the first exercise, this is the second exercise, third exercise, and you go down until the 7th exercise to make it 100% clear what you're going to do, so you don't get there and you're just like, well, what now? And then you forget to train your fucking traps, or you forget to train your fucking triceps or something. So this is why you say the pull is what we're going to do in our task list. Now, I usually have documents which are separate, so if I say gym pull, this links to like an Excel file that I already have made out. Or for example, if I say shop at Aldi, this already links to a notes file that I already have, because in notes I have a note called buy, and I add shit that I need to buy into there. Once my eggs run out, I add eggs. And just before I go, I check my fridge again, just to see if I have to buy anything that I don't really have on the buy list. But you get what I'm saying. Like, the thing is, this is making like a layered web of knowledge that really tells me exactly what to do, so I can't really fuck up. So this will tell me, okay, we need to have these time blocks, and then under the time blocks we have tasks, and then under the tasks, we have these kind of things, which like are sub-tasks, I guess. Like the notes, exactly what to buy in Aldi, right? I'm not going to put it in my fucking calendar, buy eggs, because I'm going to buy like a bunch of shit and that would just be too tedious. But I need to know, what do I buy? Because if I don't have what to buy in my notes, I'm going to get lost. So these are the 3 layers. You have time blocks, tasks, and subtasks. Don't forget them. Obviously, if like you already recorded a shit ton and you're not really going to forget anything in the recording procedure, you might as well not write subtasks. But for example, hitting the gym and adding every single thing that you need to work on and train could be nice to make sure you don't forget. Going to the shop, making sure you had every single thing that you need to buy could be nice also, and especially if the thing is new to you, like planning a ski trip or going to volleyball training when you haven't done it yet, then you should definitely add subtasks. I said lack of clarity is the second reason why we procrastinate. There's 5 in total. I have a course on it, by the way, if you want to buy it. If you don't, that's totally fine as well. I hate people that fucking promote shit non-stop, so I try to be a bit subtle with it. If you're interested in this, there's a link in the description, you can check it out. There's 50% off. If you don't, that's fine as well. But it's really good. Like, I made it specifically for anyone who procrastinates, and it's like 100% bulletproof so far. So, and you also get like a call with me one-on-one. So if you have any like specific question which I can't answer for your fucking video, then you might as well get it. So swiftly moving on, the second thing is actually having a fixed routine. I wrote it down in case I was to forget, but having a fixed routine. Now, we talked about this slightly in time blocking, which you should kind of have like at least the blocks of time within your week fixed. So obviously like not every single day is going to look the same, because you have tasks like going to the barber, which I should fucking do, like look at this hair length, it's kind of crazy, and doing stuff like going shopping and having time to be with your family and friends, and maybe you don't want to do that every single day, but you want to do it occasionally. So at least have a week, like a parameterly kind of fixed week, so you kind of know that during noon you're going to eat, before that you're going to work, after that you're going to work, then you're going to go to the gym, kind of, so your body has a gist of what you're doing. Because we have this thing called the circadian rhythm. Mostly we think of it as something between like maybe 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. I guess. So this time in our day would be the circadian rhythm, right? We think of it as a body clock. So this basically means if you've been living under a rock, your circadian rhythm definitely doesn't, is kind of fucked up. But this basically means that your body has a clock. Circadian rhythm. And this basically means that your body knows when you're awake and when you're not, and when you're supposed to be awake and when you're supposed to be asleep. So if you sleep during these times when your circadian rhythm thinks it's night, you're going to get better sleep. You're going to fall asleep easier. Your life's just going to be a whole lot better, because it matters much more when you sleep rather than how much. That's like a statistical thing. That's like kind of new science actually within the sleep science world, but I digress. What's interesting about this is that this doesn't only exist for sleep. Like, we've been talking about this concept like, oh yeah, body clock turns on only when we're asleep. Bullshit. We actually have an ultradian rhythm. So this thing says that it's active 24/7 throughout the whole fucking day. So I don't like that inner circle. I'm gonna wipe it off. But point being, it's gonna be active during the whole day, and all of your hormones are kind of negotiated and fluctuated and waved around in these 90-minute cycles, and all of your hormones pretty much. So this means during some specific time of day you will be more active. You will have more energy. Some specific times of day you will have more focus. Some specific times of day you will have more hunger, and some specific times of day you will have more sleepiness. You will feel more drowsy. This can be used to our advantage, because some of this, yes, it's genetic, but the thing is, first of all, if we're talking about genetics, right, then you can just go up to your parents and ask them, well, when were you usually asleep? Like, when was our family usually asleep? Were we like fucking bakers? We had to wake up very, very early to make sure we have a fresh batch for the customers when they arrive. Okay, no. Were we shift workers? Did we work at a graveyard? Did we work in a hospital? Were we shift workers? That's nice to know, first of all. No, okay, cool. Were we, I don't know, lion chronotypes or bear chronotypes? Did we wake up early? Were we wolves? Or were we night owls? Is like an owl a thing? I don't think it's an owl. No. Is it wolves that wakes up late? Let me know. I'm forgetting for some reason. I used to know this. Whatever. So when did your family usually genetically wake up? Because the thing is, that's probably your best time to wake up, and that's probably your best time to work. You can actually schedule these blocks during your day to when your parents did it. If it's like a very consistent pattern, you should probably stick to it as well. But the thing is, this can also be modified by behavior. Behavior is a great modification of this, and that's the reason why I'm making this whole fucking point in the first place. Because if you imagine someone who lives all over the place and lives like a fucking monkey and just does this and that, and even monkeys are a bad example also. I mean, if you imagine someone who lives like a fucking monkey, who has this, does this at this time and that at that time, and kind of behaves randomly, and even monkey, is kind of like a bad example, because monkeys are quite like scheduled and disciplined, and what they do, usually they eat at the same time, they do the same shit at the same time. You don't, or at least some people don't, and those people who don't do this will have like very, very diminished performance, because if you don't go to the gym at the same time, your body won't really know when to expect that kind of pressure on your body, when that kind of exertion will be required of you. If you don't work at the same time, your body won't know when to pump the focus chemical. And imagine someone who just started this routine and he was all over the place and kind of slept in and stayed up late and did this and did that. And then imagine someone who's been locked in for 6 months straight. Which one of them is going to have better work? The guy who just randomly sits down at a cafe, he sees he has 28 minutes until the next meeting, he's kind of drowsy, he used to go to the gym at this time, and then he like whips out his MacBook and starts working. Is he going to have that quality work as the guy who's in his 3-hour deep work block, which he's been having for the last 157 days? Like, which one of them is going to have better work? It seems kind of crazy when I'm saying this, it seems super obvious, but these factors are very important determinants of how good you're going to work, how good you're going to feel throughout the day. So although I hate people who say, oh, have a fixed bedtime for your whole entire life, and have like, think of a routine that you could do for your whole entire life, because no, you don't have to. Like, we have seasons of life. We're going to have more fun during the summer, we're going to party, we're going to, I don't know, go see our family during this time, we're going to do different shit at different times of the year, right? So that happens. That's fine if you want to change every now and then. But the reason I like using this term of season of life is, can we just stick to the same routine for a few months? Because that's enough for your body to adapt. Like, if you've been doing this for a few weeks, your body will start to be like, okay, after we wake up, we have this 30-minute period of grogginess, but afterwards we should start pumping our body with a bit of cortisol to wake it up, and a bit of more of the energy hormone, or whatever the fuck keeps you focused. I don't know the name of it, right? But we should produce a bit more of that, because that is usually when we work, and your body will realize this after just a few days or a few weeks at least of repetition. So just genuinely have like a more like season of life approach to things. Keep a fixed schedule for a few months at a time at least. So the first thing we have to understand is that humans are amazing at, like, we're really fucking smart and we're really good at inventing things, and humans are really good at being incredible. But humanity as a whole, yeah, sure, we all have like a part to play, but some humans are much greater than others. Some humans put humanity forward like a lot more than other people. Now, it might sound harsh, that's the truth. So how humans are so good and how other humans are not so good, well, it's not problem solving actually. All that people think is like being able to sit and solve a problem, very, very, like a very, very deep problem and everything. Like, yeah, that's a good skill to have, but the biggest problem in the first place is not being able to understand what the problem is. It's solving for the wrong fucking thing. This is why you run around in circles, at least you feel like you do, because if you think back to the previous few months of your life, it's like a bit grey. Like, what did we do? Oh yeah, we did that, but it didn't really amount to anything. Oh, we talked to this person, but we haven't really reconnected since, so I guess that's gone to waste. You do a bunch of shit that you think is important in the moment, but it isn't actually that important to you. And I made a video about this just recently, so you can check it out. I should be popping up a card right now. I hate doing multiple, mentioning multiple videos in the same video, but I think both of these that I've mentioned so far are very important. It's called fake progress, and how you actually make fake progress by solving for the wrong problem. So if you feel like I'm talking to you right now, and if you feel like you have this problem with you where you don't really solve for the right problem, I think we all do in some regard, watch that video, it's quite useful. So first of all, we need to solve for the real problem, because problem identifying is very important. So problem identifying is what we need to really develop, not problem solving, rather problem identifying. And another example of this is, why are we so bad at keeping our screen time low? Why? Listen, we do know that we want to have low screen time. We do know that we want to take a step back from technology. We do know that we don't want to do the bad habits and we want to do the good habits. So why does it not happen? Let's say we go on X too much. I'm just going to write X. We go on Twitter too much. And that's our problem. And we're like, okay, we need to solve for this. We need to uninstall X, install, and we need to uninstall it, and we need to use a web blocker, and we need to do all this shit. But why does that not work? Because we reinstall it. We always do. Let's be honest here. You wouldn't be watching this video if you hadn't done anything like this before. You uninstall it, or at least you take a vow to not use it or something, and you go back. Maybe it's because, oh, I had to message this friend and I downloaded it, and then that day I didn't use it, but the next day you did because it was too convenient and it was already installed and everything. Or you make up some fucking dumb excuse, right? You had to do something, right? You just downloaded it again, and now you're back on it, and now this doesn't matter whatsoever. But the thing is, this wasn't the problem in the first place, because for some reason you keep going back. And how about, instead of looking at the symptom of the problem, how about we look at the problem itself? How about we look at the thing that causes us to want to go on the thing? This is only the vice that we go back to. How about we get rid of the thing that actually makes us go back to it, which is the feeling. The feeling of lack, the feeling of loneliness, the feeling of being down, of being sad, the feeling of boredness. How many of you use your phone when you go to the toilet? You're feeling bored, so you use a vice to ease the pain, to ease the lack, to ease the boredom. But there's one thing even before that. It's a certain stimuli you put yourself out to. So this is the fucking culprit. This is the problem. This is super important for you to understand. If you put yourself in situations where you hate your life, you're going to go to things that numb the pain of hating your life. Okay? So if you go to literature class, for example, and you get fucking bored, literature class, boredom, X. You start scrolling. Okay. Toilet, boredom, Instagram, you start scrolling. Okay. Lonely late at night, horny, you go watch fucking pornography or some degenerate shit. So all of this is basically because you put yourself in situations where you feel down. Now, for the examples of going to the toilet, yeah, you can, I mean, you need to go to the toilet, right? So yeah, you can kind of go to the toilet less or some shit, but you're gonna go to the toilet eventually. So how about we feel the feeling of boredom and we do something different, right? That's the first solution, is to do something else, is to do something not as bad. Let's say we're gonna take a book. We're gonna have a book, you know, like fucking Breaking Bad, like Hank has, or maybe it was at Walt's house, I guess. But he had books on the toilet, so he was like, okay, I'm taking a big fat shit. I'm gonna look around. Oh shit, we have a book, and it's like Woodrow Wilson type shit. So you're gonna read instead of going on to your phone. You have that choice. You have the choice of becoming aware of the feeling, which you already skip over. Like, let's just be honest. What we do is we look at, we get the stimulus, we get to our vice, and that's how we go. Stimulus, vice. We gotta skip over this. We leapfrog over it. We're like, whoop, I'm on my phone already. How many times do you pick up your phone a day, and how many of them are conscious? Like, we just look at our phones. And by the way, I'll put my fucking hands up. I'm talking like you, but I kind of do this still. I have a feeling of boredom, and I'm on Instagram already. I sometimes still do that, although I've made a lot of progress. I still sometimes do that, so I won't speak so derogatorily, I guess. So this is the first solution. And the second solution, which is my favorite, is just shortcutting the circuit, shortcutting the whole equation, is just removing this in the first place, right? I had the problem with, what were the examples I said? I said going to the toilet, literature class, and yeah, let's say being horny at night. So if you know that you're likely to relapse and do some degenerate shit at night when you're lonely at home alone, how about you organize some event? How about you organize yourself a walk? How about you just make a time block, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. walk. Okay, you're not in a good neighborhood. How about you meet up with a friend, or at least have a Discord call with them? You're not gonna edge under the desk, or at least, fucking God, I hope you don't. So it's gonna be much harder for you if you just don't feel the stimulus in the first place of loneliness, of being home alone at night and shit like that, and you just get yourself out of the situation and you do something else. Or for example, another one I like to tell a lot is the Aldi pastry aisle. This is like a very, very good place to be if you want to eat and if you don't have a problem with eating like ultra-processed food, but everyone does. So if you don't want to indulge and if you don't want to get kind of hooked into the feeling of feeling hungry, that's what the feeling is, and then buying the pastries, then you should not even go into the pastry aisle in the first place. So this is what I started doing, is that if I don't need bread or something that's right next to the pastry aisle, I just don't even go to that section of the store anymore, because I know if I'm there, I will be 50% more likely to buy something, even if I don't mean to. Or I could do the second thing, which is I just become, I guess the first thing, which is I become conscious of the feeling, and then I try to resist it, But the best thing is, if you don't need to go there, just don't. Just cut it out. Just short circuit the equation. Okay, the fourth thing is more of a concept, but it's don't fix what isn't broken, and that we're all different. What I mean by this is the following. One of the biggest gripes, because I like to complain a lot about YouTubers, one of the biggest gripes I have with them is that they say their shit like it's the gospel. They say their advice like, you need to do this because it works for every single person and shit like this. And I really don't like this because we're all different and we all have lives. And let's say I have a productivity routine which allows me to work 3 hours every single day. And then someone says, no, you need to switch your whole entire thing around. You need to wake up at 3 a.m. and then you need to start with a cold shower. And I'm not going to name any names, right? But we know these kind of people. And if we switch our whole entire life around, which is already kind of working, we just need a few tweaks and minor adjustments, and we throw the whole version out, and instead of like split testing it and being like, okay, I'm going to invent a V1.1, I'm going to slightly tweak it, I'm going to try doing this habit at this time and see how it works. We are like, okay, I'm going to do a V2 and I'm going to change the whole entire thing, and then you crash and burn and you don't even get anything done. Sure, you might hit the jackpot, but it's literally like gambling. Like, you know the house always wins. You know you don't really have a good chance of it working just because it worked for someone else. So why even try it? You know, these people usually tell you their things just so you like them or just so you buy their product. Why would you take their word as fucking gospel? Every single time I try to say, this worked for me. Like, there's very few things that I actually say, you need to do this because this works and this is how the universe works. Because that's just not realistic, man. You know, people like to say, if you're not where I am, just take my brain and do what I did. And it's like, cool, but maybe it's not gonna work. Maybe we're kind of different. Maybe someone who is at a very low level and they're like addicted to drugs or video games or something, yeah, sure, they can kind of like take your brain and just do it, bro. Just do whatever someone who's like 1,000 times more successful than you tells you. Just do it for a bit, bro. But from the point on where you can actually think for yourself, which most of you watching this are, I mean, you've watched like an unedited video for like almost 30 minutes now, you should be able to understand that actually using your brain is kind of cool, and you don't have to borrow someone else's who's living an entirely different reality to you and actually take their word as gospel. Because the next level of advice is when you realize that you can actually trust your own thoughts. You give yourself a bit more power, you give yourself a bit more confidence, you have faith in your own ability to perform, and you're like, okay, I already have 3 hours, but the reason I crash and burn usually is because I eat a meal that consists of foods with a high GI index, and my blood sugar gets spiked, and then my insulin also gets spiked, and that increases my brain fog. So what I'm going to try is to have more protein during that time, so my GI doesn't get spiked as high, because those foods are lower in the GI index scale usually. So that's what I'm going to try now. I'm going to try that for 7 days. If it doesn't work, I'm going to tweak it. I'm going to try something different. I'm going to try drinking caffeine at that time. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Now we're actually identifying the problem. Hello, previous point, identify the fucking problem. Most people's problem in the first place. And we're fixing for the problem. We're not looking at a whole new view on productivity and, oh shit, this guy wakes up at 3 a.m. so he must be a fucking king. No, we already have something that works. It just could be a bit better. So how about we understand that we can fix what is working and make it better instead of throwing it out and acting like it's a broken system. Point number 5 of things that actually changed my productivity forever is understanding resistance. Should I write it in the next line? No, fuck it, I'll do it here. Fuck, I've already fucked it up. There we go, understanding resistance. So, resistance is a concept coined by Steven Pressfield. I'm going to stand a bit aside so you can read what's happening on the board. There we go, Steven Pressfield in his book, The War of Art, I always get those two confused. Very different books, written in very different times. So, Steven Pressfield, The War of Art, it's the book that changed my life the most. I think I'm pretty confident in saying that. And that's for the reason that it coined this concept of resistance. And what resistance basically means is every single time you have something that your rational mind knows is good for you, yet it's kind of new to you, what ends up happening is that your amygdala senses that it's out of your identity. Your identity is kind of like a democracy. You have McDonald's in here, you have Facebook in here, and you have, what's something that I can draw very easily? You have Burger King in here, I'm just going to write BK. And you have 540 votes for this, you have 701 votes for this, you have 301 votes for this. And this is because you've done these things this many times in the recent few years or whatever. Like, your mind conceptualizes of you as someone who does these things. So whenever you get the idea to go to McDonald's, your mind's like, yeah, sure, we can let that pass. We know that that's kind of good. We know that that's safe, because that is what your reptile mind optimizes for, right? That's what we do. So once this thing comes in here and you're like, hold on, I'm going to go running, and I'm going to go running. And I'm going to vote for one running, and no one has one vote. We're going to be, hold on. Nobody voting for that. And every single time one person tries to be different, we're going to smash them fucking back down. And it's going to be really, really hard for you to run, because it's unorthodox. We don't really do that. No one else does that. And inside here, the consensus is that that's unsafe. That's unreasonable. We don't do that. That's just alien to us. That's not comfortable. That's discomfort. We don't even know if that's safe. We haven't done it before. So why the fuck would we go running? So the first time you go running, you're going to feel immense resistance towards running. This is the thing that your rational mind knows that it's a good thing to go running, right? You know, you've decided you're not going running by accident, right? Who the fuck goes running by accident? You've decided rationally that it would be good for you to go running. Maybe you want to make your heart a bit healthier. Maybe you just want to lose weight. Whatever the case may be, you decided that you want to go running. However, your mind is not conditioned to do that, so you're going to feel a shit ton of resistance. And what ends up happening is that you will be kind of forced out of it unless you put in like a lot of effort to counteract this resistance. The way resistance manifests is you get these thoughts that you know are bullshit by this mind that starts bargaining with you. That's like a phrase I like to use a lot, this bargaining section of your mind, where you start saying things like, oh, but you might trip and fall. We don't really know this area that you want to go running in. It's not that safe. Oh, this time there might be criminals out there. You might get stabbed. Oh, you kind of, your bowels are going to start moving. You're going to like shit yourself halfway through. It's going to be kind of awkward, don't you think? Oh, the hot girl's going to run past and he's going to see you that you're kind of fat and you're struggling to run even 1 kilometer. Do you think that's going to be a good look? And you're going to get these kind of things, which you deep down, if you really rationally analyzed every single one, you know it's bullshit. But the thing is, usually, especially when you're at this stage, you're a very, very beginner, you're going to give in to one. Your emotional mind is going to be activated and you're going to be like, yeah, that would be really bad to shit myself in the middle of the run. Even though it's incredibly unlikely, you're going to be like, yeah, that would be really bad, and then you're not going to do it. Every single time, it's some of these useless excuses, which is literally resistance manifested. Resistance will end up getting you to give in. And the way you flip it around is a very, very, very interesting mindset by Stephen Pressfield, is use resistance as an indicator. So the way resistance works is you have this important thing, which is running for you. And this is you. And you want to go running, and you kind of feel this is you now, and you want to go running, but the thing is, resistance kind of pushes you away. So this is the R, and it pushes you away. So in this case, when you feel this, what you need to do is to say, fuck this. The fact that resistance is here in the first place is an indicator. I understand that, oh shit, I'm getting these thoughts. I'm getting these thoughts of, oh no, don't go running because you might trip and fall. Oh no, don't go running because the girl's going to see you and you're going to look awkward. Because this is an important thing. So you can literally use resistance. And whenever you feel resistance, you can be like, oh shit, I'm feeling so much resistance right now. And this is the exact reason why I should do it. So then you do this and you go even harder and then you do the fucking thing. So instead of giving into resistance, actually have this moment of consciousness and actually have this awareness to realize, oh shit, I'm feeling I'm feeling a resistance right now. And you're like, oh shit, I'm feeling resistance. And then what you can do is be like, so I must do the thing. So this is something that I must do, right? You get the thoughts to not touch the hot stove, right? And you don't really think that this is a resistance because it's very, very rational. So you're not going to get it conflicted in case anyone had that fucking stupid counter argument. But for these kind of things, where it's obviously resistance, I forgot an E from the end, my bad here, guys. You're going to be like, oh shit, it's resistance. I better do the thing now, because you're literally going to be in like a battle with your mind. And you've probably experienced this before, where you're just really struggling to get started and you're procrastinating and you're cleaning up the house before you know it, because you know it's productive, but you know you should be doing something else. And then it's like 2 hours have passed and then you don't have time anymore. And in these instances, just have this moment of consciousness and be like, the reason I'm getting so many thoughts that are trying to like dissuade me from doing the thing is because it's important, is because I'm feeling this incredible amount of resistance right now. So this only means that I must do it. Okay, we're slowly getting to the end of this video right about now, but the sixth point is he who has a why will beat anyone pretty much over any tactic. He who has a why. Now this is an incredibly strong word. Why? This originates from Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, or it might be Nietzsche first, but Viktor Frankl was the person who popularized this this quote: "He who has a why will can bear to live almost anyhow," and it's so true, because if you think about people who are in like adverse situations, it's always those people who survive and make something of themselves who really need to survive. You really have a reason. If you read his book with Man's Search for Meaning, he literally talks about this. He talks about how he had a desire to help humanity with what he learned as a psychiatrist. He has a desire to help his wife and his family, and he uses these kind of motivators to do whatever it takes to survive the Holocaust that he was put in. And this is incredibly powerful, because if you understand that you have like a mission and you actually make yourself a person who isn't just working to get money for themselves when you don't even really like yourself, but that's a point for another day, and you're like, okay, I need money, I need all of these fucking superficial things, like I need validation from my peers, I need this. That's nothing to be really glad about. Sure, you can tap into it if it really does motivate you, but again, only if it does motivate you, only if it like is a strong enough why. And if you don't have a strong enough why, maybe you should do a bit of soul searching. Ask yourself these questions: what is my flow state tasks? When do I feel in like a flow state? When do I feel like I'm absolutely engulfed in the thing and I have 100% focus on the task at hand? When do you feel like time vanishes? When do you feel most happy? When do you feel most joyous? In what instances? Who are your people? Who are the people you want to help, you feel really connected to, right? What are some problems you've went through in your life which you want no one else to experience? Because that can be a very noble thing, and that can be a very, very strong why. So if you think about your why and you base your life around it, and you can base even your hobbies and business around it, but if it just gives you like enough motivation to keep going and keep going and keep going, you will get through it, no matter what. Like, the small fucking details don't matter if you have a strong enough why. If you wake up and your first thought is, man, I gotta help those people. If you wake up and your first thought is, man, I gotta help make this problem easier. If you wake up and those are your thoughts, you're gonna win. Simple as. If you wake up and your thought is, oh man, we ran out of coffee, so this one is going to be so hard, man. 30 minutes extra sleep, yeah, that's really warranted now. Or just bullshit like this, man. If you know what you're doing, and if you really have a very important reason to do it, you will do it. Simple as. This is going to be the third call to action I make in this video, or fourth, but I don't give a fuck. I made a video about this. It's called, what's it called? Anyway, I don't even remember what it's called, but it should be popping up on screen right now. If this is the thing that interests you, then watch the video. I explain in detail very much. It's, you're not lazy, you just don't have a reason, or you just need a reason, something like that. It popped into my mind just now. Anyway, watch that video. I tell you in detail what you need to do if you really, really want to figure out your reason and the thing that propels you forward, because you fucking have it. Maybe you're just not conscious of it. The final point, ladies and gentlemen, is information versus realizations. This is a concept that I think about quite a lot because it's kind of new to me. I didn't really think of this too long ago, but it's basically that information is things like ChatGPT shit, like taking a cold shower can increase your dopamine by 1.5 to 2 times in the next 4 hours. Cool. Information, right? But realizations are things that we kind of put 2 and 2 together and we're like, oh shit. So I'm going to give you an example where we maybe have a concept from psychology about the hedonic treadmill. This is a concept where if you're running on a treadmill, you can go a bit forward, you can go a bit backwards, but you're kind of going to end up, if you default back and you're not paying huge attention, to the middle. Eventually you'll get back to the middle. Happiness kind of works the same way. If you give a homeless man a sandwich and a businessman the ultimate billion-dollar deal, they might get the same increase in happiness, although it's very, very different relatively. It's just all relativity, you know, it's all like happiness is just relative. It doesn't really matter what you get, it just matters what it means to you. And you might go forward a bit, you might go back a bit, but eventually you're just going to go back to the same set point of happiness. And that's what the hedonic treadmill is. And then I read something which actually was the Count of Monte Cristo. The Count of Monte Cristo. And then, near the end, the protagonist, called Edmond Dantes, talks to one of his student kind of things, a guy he mentors, called Maximilian, and he convinces Maximilian that his lover, Valentine, is dead. And he does that for the reason that he wants to give him this elixir that he told Maximilian would kill him, because he understands, because he was falsely jailed and accused and someone took his missus and everything, he understands that in order to actually be happy, you have to go down into the depths of despair, and then you will be happy. This is again something about the relativity of happiness. It's from a fiction novel, but it's again about the relativity of happiness. Then I wrote an essay back in high school on English class, and it was on the thesis of the meaning of life. And in that, I also talked about kind of very, very similar stuff. And the thing is, you just need one extra thing into your web of knowledge to connect all of it, and you just be like, aha. And this is what actually matters. This is realizations. We can talk about shit like, okay, number one, cold shower, and you need to do this, and you need to do that, and extra dopamine, guys, and it's so important, XDDDD. And this is cool, I can give you information, but the thing is, you already know most of the information. If I were to really break it down, how business works, you need to get a client, you need to do outreach, you need to let people know that your offer exists, and you just need to have an offer. That's literally it. All the other things are minor details. Everything else is like getting a payment process. Bro, you can just type it into ChatGPT and you have it. Okay, how about you make an LLC? Again, it's not that difficult, right? If you dissect business, it's just getting clients, getting people to sell to, and getting a product to sell to them. That's it. It's literally simple as fuck, but it's really hard. And you might need a bunch of realizations to be like, oh shit, so I need to do that. The concept itself is very, very, stupid simple. It's really, really not that complicated if you look at just genuinely information. But realizations, you might need a whole lot of these to actually put two and two together. So the previous example might have been a bit weird and not too understandable, so I'm going to give you another one. Matthew Dix, the author of Someday Yesterday, wrote Season of Yes as one of his chapters. He was very, very big on this concept of saying yes to things in order to learn, in order to expand, and to just become a multifaceted generalist person. And then Alex Hormozy said Season of No, where you have to lock in, you have to understand what's important to you, and you have to work, because the more things you do, the more thoughts you have about other things, the less progress you will make, because progress compounds based on how much effort you put into one singular thing. And these two are exact opposites, yet both of them make fucking sense to me. So what happens here? Now I have this neural connection between these two concepts, and I'm like, hey, what the fuck's happening? And then I understand that, I don't even know what this point was, but something made me understand that, oh shit, this is very very Someone who's more of an introvert like me, who's gonna say no by default to things, and who's going to not expand himself, and who's going to use the Season of No as an excuse to not go to things, to not make themselves a multifaceted person, to not really live life. And they're going to use this season of, oh yeah, okay, I can say no now. They're going to use it as an excuse. They're going to just fucking lock themselves in a room because now they have the approval to say no. Then they maybe should go for this one. And then I realized people who are all over the place, who don't have the discipline to lock in, who are people like the opposite of what I just described, they maybe need to use this. And then maybe this is just realizing that I can use my brain and I don't have to take everyone's word for granted. Maybe this realization was that. But something connected the two, and I was like, hold on, this all makes sense now, because both of these can coexist with each other. These don't knock each other out. These can coexist with each other. And that was a big realization for me. And maybe you need a bit more of these moments in your life. Now, how do you get these moments? First of all, it's getting information from different sources. So one thing that's very important is to not take one person's word as gospel. Now, there is a time, there's a place for this where you actually just lock in, and that's more of the Season of No approach, where you just take very, very few sources of information and actually learn from them. But most of the time, you should kind of be learning from many people, because if some person is super biased and you only consume their information, that's going to reflect on you. And also just from different niches, because if you only read self-help books, the Diary of Monte Cristo, Jesus Christ, The Count of Monte Cristo, this book taught me a lot, and I learned a lot from fiction books, especially Russian fiction books, and I like them a lot. And I pieced a high school essay I wrote, some random psychological concept I learned online, and a non-fiction book that's over 1,000 pages that I read 5 years ago, together to make my understanding of happiness whole, and to actually understand this very, very intricate concept of happiness. And now I have a neural network that has a bunch of other things linked to it that I realize now how this shit works, because I have so many different sources and they all interlink. And this is much the same, where I have different sources of information, and then I learned some different thing. I can't really put my finger on it, but it was pretty fucking obvious that I learned to trust myself and listen to my own thoughts. And then I was like, oh shit, maybe I should do more of this. And then maybe I should do this for a bit, and then maybe a bit more of this. But the thing is, I can choose. And the thing is, these kind of things only happen when you learn from different sources. That's the first thing. And the second one is to give yourself time. Because if you don't give yourself any time, you're just going to be thinking about different things that people give you. If you listen to other people's thoughts, you can only get this. This is why you can't really be led to realizations by someone else entirely. You have to put in some effort yourself. And usually this is why people say boredom is the gateway to creativity. If you give yourself a bit of time to unwind. I read this story about some CEO getting their big idea when they were walking their kid, or like in a pram, right? They went walking their kid. They had their kid in a pram and they were taking a walk, and they were super bored. They weren't used to it, and every single day now they had 1 hour of nothing. And then they had a beautiful idea because they actually had time to listen to their own thoughts, I like to draw this a lot, but this is the subconscious mind. And this tiny bit here, this tiny fragment of a percentage of your subconscious mind, or your mind in general, is your conscious mind. And what ends up happening if you listen to outside sources is you understand, you're looking at social media on the commute, you're like, oh shit, Ronaldo scored a goal, and now this outside external reality just gave you this thought, and now you're thinking about that. Oh shit, okay, now you're listening to your coworker. And now she's talking about some event that happens in the office, and whoa, this person slept with this person, and wow, that's crazy, bro. And now you get home and you watch Netflix, and now you're thinking about damn, that character did that, I can't believe it, that's so badass. And then you understand that nothing here is being thought about, and you don't even know your fucking self. And even if you do have like a bunch of these dots of knowledge, they're not connected. You don't have these connections wired between them. And if you give yourself time, the thing is, if you just sit, and if you take your kid for a walk, you take your dog for a walk, you just lie on the couch and you look at the fucking wall, you will start to get thoughts from here. This little thing that you buried from your childhood will come up. This little thing you thought about will come up. And maybe that is when you will get these kind of things. And that's when you will get these connections in your mind. And that's when you will be like, hey, I learned this hedonic treadmill concept. That's very, very similar to what Edmond Dantes was teaching Maximilian at the end of the Count of Monte Cristo. Damn, that makes a lot of sense. I'm going to think about happiness in an entirely different way for the rest of my life now, because this shit makes so much sense. So this is why you need a bit of time to de-wind. You need a bit of time to disconnect from technology. That's what this channel is about. And these were the 7 things that actually changed my productivity. So if you want very similar lessons to this one and actual knowledge, which will like inherently, or at least I try to lead you to realizations and not just plain ass information, then consider subscribing. That's all I ask. Thank you for watching.